Welcome to the Comfy Chairs, a podcast from 123 Limited. Today's episode is part of our new series, Comfy Chairs Hard Questions, comfyHQ, a bite-sized offering to help grow our knowledge of leading and learning. For these shorter episodes, I want to provide you with the opportunity to share your questions. These can include asking for more information about specific topics, like imposter syndrome, adaptability, or emotional intelligence, or how to tackle day-to-day leadership challenges. Any subject that fits in the beautifully broad category of leading and learning is suitable. I'll do my best to share what I know, and if all goes well, we'll learn together. So for today's answers from comfyHQ, we're going to talk about ways to employ storytelling and to lead through ambiguity. Our first question today is, how can leaders use storytelling to inspire and motivate others? I always have time for stories. We've spent a good deal of time in the comfy chairs discussing stories, whether we're focused on them as the central topic or experience storytelling as a recurring theme. Stories have a place here. Moreover, they serve many purposes for humankind and have no small role to play both in how we learn and how we lead. Before we talk more about storytelling, though, I want to discuss what this particular questioner is trying to accomplish with stories: inspiration and motivation. What are they, and why do they preoccupy leaders? I love the word inspiration. Its root comes from the same source as breath. To inspire is to breathe into, to give life or energy. It's beautiful. I'm not as enamored with inspiration in a work setting, though. Why? Honestly, some of this is simply a personal bias. I've seen too many people attempt to inspire employees with heavy-handed and even sophomoric tactics. These people in leadership roles use a misguided version of inspiration in place of clarity, transparency, and clear communication about what we're trying to accomplish and exactly why. That is not to say that I don't value inspiration. It is and can be a very important element of the work experience, but we can't try to force it for no other reason than it is highly and remarkably individual. What inspires me may leave you lukewarm. What inspires you may be repellent to the next person. This is not a judgment of what anyone finds inspiring. It's a fact driven by our uniqueness and diversity. Because inspiration is infinitely variable, we can't effectively plan for, guarantee, or even measure it. But you can keep it under consideration. And we'll come back to this. For now, let's turn our attention to motivation. While inspiration may spark an idea or feeling, motivation fuels sustained effort. Leaders often misplace their focus here, assuming that emotion alone will drive performance. But real, lasting action comes when people have the conditions to succeed. I'm going to rely on Daniel Pink's framework for motivation here. He explains that we experience motivation when three conditions are present: autonomy, mastery, and purpose. When we have the right level and form of freedom, possess or have the potential to possess expertise, and we're able to apply both to something we view as significant or meaningful, we are moved to act. Motivation dwells both within us, intrinsic, and around us, external. It does have a certain quality of individual preference, like inspiration, but is much easier to observe because it involves action and behavior. This duality, thought, feeling, and action performance, inner and outer selves, this is exactly where stories can take part in leadership. For our purposes, and for time, I'm going to categorize stories into three types today. The first, lore. It's the cultural history of the organization. Second, reports, accounts of present events and priorities. And then third, visionary stories. These are the tales of future possibilities and even shared hopes. Your company's lore serves to share history and communicate norms, how we do things here. These stories should also entail lessons learned, providing employees with a roadmap to navigate the organization and avoid past mistakes. These are not, this is how we've always done it, or we tried that and it didn't work lectures. They are the stories that connect your company's past to its present circumstances. As a leader, you can contribute to this historical record both by documenting events and sharing stories to keep them alive and passed down. This is especially important when onboarding new employees. Lore contributes to motivation by creating understanding. These stories accelerate autonomy and even mastery. Lore gives us the foundation, but understanding the past isn't enough. People also need clarity about what's happening right now. They need insight into how their work fits into the present moment. And that's where reports come in. Reporting provides employees with the information they need to do their jobs. This includes recognizing great performance. Reports are a vehicle for spreading the news about what's working well, what course corrections are underway, and even what your customers or clients are saying. You can deliver reports to your team in nearly every setting, and when you do, you are, again, contributing to their autonomy, increasing their knowledge and know-how, which is enabling mastery, and making connections to purpose. Purpose is the through line that can connect motivation and inspiration. Keep your stories framed by the company's mission, why you're all here. And your employees will be able to discover their inspiration. Stories are your tool to make meaning. Purpose, meaning, is the anchor that allows you to tell visionary stories. These are stories that let an organization blaze a trail into the future. They're pure imagination, tethered to lore and reports by purpose. They are part of strategic planning, goal setting, and even individual development efforts. Visionary stories allow us to see a possible future. The connection to purpose can motivate, and the picture of that new life can inspire. So, by understanding a little bit about motivation and inspiration, and the types of stories you can use in the workplace, you have the ingredients for leading with storytelling. But there is one more important consideration. Who writes these stories? I'm not referring to putting pen to paper or typing up a story when I say write here. Instead, this is about recognizing the source or author of stories. As a leader, you may play the part of storyteller, yes, but your employees are creating the story. Their choices, actions, results, everything are the words and phrases that become your shared stories. By observing, engaging with, and recounting what they accomplish, you create the connections that make inspiration and motivation possible. Try it this week. Watch your team while they work together and build their story. Find the beginning. There was a time. A middle. The team did this or that. And an end. And this was the result. Then take this little story and connect it to purpose. This result matters because. And then do the most important part. Tell the story. Tell it to the team to thank and recognize them. Tell it to your boss to spotlight the team's work. Tell it to a friend just for practice. The key is in the telling. Without it, the story has no life, no power to impact your team. That's the central idea here. Use the stories your team writes every day, big and small, epic or ordinary. Tell them their own stories. Stories are more than tools. They're the threads that weave meaning into our work. When leaders embrace storytelling, they do more than communicate facts. They connect people to purpose. They help employees see where they've been, where they are, and where we can go. And in that space between past, present, and future, something powerful happens. People begin to see themselves as part of the story. And that's what truly moves them. Not just words, but the knowledge that their contributions matter. Today's second question is, what are some strategies for leading through ambiguity? I would start with acceptance. Ambiguity, uncertainty, even a little confusion are all inevitable at work and in leadership. The faster you accept whatever ambiguous circumstances you face, the quicker you can turn your attention and energy to leading through the ambiguity. Let me acknowledge that this first step, acceptance, can be difficult, crazy hard sometimes. You are a leader, but you are also human. And humans are built to favor predictability. Ambiguous times can feel like the rug has been pulled out from under you. You may be disoriented and confused, even afraid, because you don't know what's next. This is okay. Not fun, but okay. While you do need to process the fact of ambiguity, whether it comes from a major change, an unexpected turn of events, or something else, you need to do this quickly as the leader. You can and should still experience and process your own response and emotions about the situation. You may even need to return to acceptance multiple times as events unfold. It is natural. Ambiguity derives from a word that means to be in doubt. So it's no wonder that we experience doubts when dealing with and leading through ambiguity. Understanding that can help you speed acceptance and focus your energy elsewhere. And where exactly should you focus? This next strategy turns your attention away from ambiguity so that you can assess what is not uncertain. Take time for yourself and your team to identify and inventory everything that remains clear during the season of ambiguity. For each element of your work that has gotten fuzzy, find at least one aspect that remains in sharp focus. Say you don't know what the new AI tool the company has purchased will mean for your department's workflow. Okay, but what do you know? Your client base isn't changing? Or maybe your productivity goals are staying the same? Or everyone still understands and believes in the company's mission? It's easy and natural to focus on the unknown to the exclusion of everything else. This is in our nature to find potential threats, after all. By naming what is known, you are supporting your team in a few ways. For one, you are grounding them in reality. This may seem obvious or unnecessary, but your real circumstances can serve as touchstones. Even the smallest details can provide a sense of certainty. During quarantine, since I worked in healthcare, I was still going into the office regularly. I found it uniquely comforting that my commute was unchanged. The familiarity of each turn and landmark was a calming force in the face of so many questions. Naming your reality also lets you keep priorities clear of potential confusion. Even during the most ambiguous situations, there is work to be done. Your team likely has deadlines to meet and customers to serve. When you identify and discuss what is clear, you help people reorient to their purpose and goals. This is not to say that you should ignore the fuzzy things or dissuade people from talking about them. It is to say that you, as the leader, have the ability to expand the conversation and guide people's attention to their known reality. These conversations will play a critical role in successfully navigating ambiguity. The next strategy that I recommend reflects this. Communicate, and then communicate some more. When your team is dealing with uncertainty, when you have doubts, when answers are unclear, it can be tempting to stop or slow communication. After all, you can only answer, "I don't know," so many times, right? No. If "I don't know" is the truth, then it should always and forever be the answer. It can help to soften the sting with the addition of one little word. "I don't know yet." The type, frequency, and intensity of communication your team needs will depend on your specific situation. Just know that leading through ambiguity demands more communication, never less. Use your communication channels to share facts, name the known reality, especially when it is rapidly changing, and to welcome questions. This last can be intimidating. It's the whole "I don't know" conundrum again. Make it less so by establishing a simple system for capturing questions, being publicly committed to follow-up, and creating a means to document and share answers when they become available. If a question lingers long past its due date, have the courage and humility to ask your team if they still need or want the answer. This isn't giving up or shirking responsibility. It's acknowledging that people's needs and interests change during the course of events like these. This is also an approach that ensures you are maintaining two-way communication. If you're doing all the talking, you're doing ambiguity wrong. Your communication needs to increase, and you need to create even more space for others to speak and be heard. This is the core of my last recommendation for today. Show your team you care about them. You do this in several ways. Take every opportunity to ask them questions. A simple "How are you doing?" or "What is most challenging today about how unclear things are?" "What's still working well?" "What am I not asking you that I should?" Watch how they interact with each other. Observe changes in team dynamics and working relationships. Are they talking to each other more or less? What tones and attitudes do you hear and see? Get them involved in decision-making as much as possible. Collect their ideas and recommendations and follow up to let them know how their input is used. Ask them what they need from you to feel respected and cared for during the ambiguity. Do everything that's feasible and acknowledge what's not. Above all, remember that leadership isn't about avoiding or eliminating ambiguity. It's about helping your team navigate through to the other side. Your employees don't expect you to be unfazed or to have all the answers. They do need you to be engaged, authentic, and transparent. They need to see you working with them to make sense of things. You will encounter ambiguity, and you will decide what type of leader you will be. You can be the leader who guides employees through the uncertainty, the one who stays grounded, the one who communicates, the one who listens. And when you do, you won't just be leading through ambiguity. You'll be leading with clarity, confidence, and compassion. That's all for this comfyHQ episode. Thanks for your questions, and thanks for listening. If you have a question for comfyHQ, I would love to hear it. Just use the link in the show notes. Comfy Chairs Hard Questions episode will be out every other week between in-depth conversations about leading and learning. Next week, I'll be back in the comfy chairs for a conversation about kindness with Sarah Browning. I hope you join us.